Zach, can you hear us? Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's okay. I don't think anyone was talking. Okay. I will call this meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us on a Monday night. We will go ahead and get started here since it seems like our technology is working. Alrighty. The first thing to discuss is approval of the agenda and last month's minutes. Were there any discussions surrounding this? Okay, we're gonna do this a little bit differently this month. Some guidance from Osprey Wilds has us wanting to actually make a motion and approve. So I am seeking a motion to approve the agenda and last month's minutes.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda and last month's minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Anyone abstaining? Okay, motion carries. Now we will check for community comment. Okay, no community comment, so we'll move into our informational items. We're gonna start with our monthly celebration. So we have two people that we are celebrating this month, and we wanna start with our K-6 person, Kelly G, and I believe you are here. Yes, hello. We wanna thank you for always putting student learning first. You go above and beyond to help students, and your K-6 representatives wanted to point you out and say an extra special thank you from the board for everything that you do. And we know that you build very meaningful connections. So if you actually want to come join me at the front here, I would love to get a picture of us with you.
Okay, I just want you all to know as decision makers over our school and to anybody watching from home that you will not find a more joyful or hardworking elementary principal than we have in Jess Erickson. And our new SPED director, the beautiful and talented Tracy Ogren, has been working her tail off to know all the needs of our students at K-6 and upper simultaneously while getting married and moving. I don't know how you're doing it all, but I know when I come into work each day, I feel supported and seen and celebrated, and I love doing the work with my incredible pair of teammates. So thanks for recognizing that. It means a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, no one get too comfortable because we're gonna do it all again because we wanna we wanna thank Forrest Florzak for all of his work at the 712 building, specifically working with our middle school students and getting them ready to be good students and good people when they leave our building. Your ability to make good connections with parents shows, and we really appreciate that because we need that connection to the NLA community. Anyway, we appreciate you, Forrest. Thank you so much. Everyone clap for Forrest. And come get your picture taken. Okay. So now we are moving on to item B, which is the audit presentation. And so I'm going to hand it over to Zach now to do a presentation on that.
All right. Hello, everyone. So should I be sharing my screen on this, or should I just plan to
Yes,
talk
you can
about
share your screen
slides?
on yep.
Okay. Okay. I just didn't know if you guys had a projector or if I'm on a laptop or what. So, all right.
Zach, this is Cecilia. So we have the
Cecilia.
documents linked in our agenda, but for our streaming purposes and just for people to visualize, it would be great to see your presentation. Yes.
Yep. I'll plan to go through the slides and then I'll reference some page numbers or something if anyone had the PDF documents open. But I plan to just go through the slides, especially to keep things shorter today as well. So let's see if I can get those pulled up. All right. Can everyone see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for having me. Again, my name is Zach Sharp. I'm here on behalf of Whitfley. I'm here to present North Lakes Academy audit presentation, basically for the last fiscal year, which was fiscal year 2025, which ended on June 30th, 2025. So I'll start with, what do you guys essentially pay us to do? What's our job as the school's auditor? So our job responsibility is to issue an opinion on the financial statements that we handed over to you guys. We also issue a report on compliance and internal controls, and we have a report that we issue in accordance with Minnesota statutes. Minnesota has their own audit guide related to statutes for charter schools, and that's available. So we issue a report on that as well. So that's kind of the three things that we'll talk about right off the top here before we kind of dive into more of the numbers-based items. So what did we essentially find in our report? The first item would be an opinion on the financial statements is an unmodified one. So in the audit world, that's the good opinion. That's the one that you want. Unmodified essentially means that everything in those financial statements we believe to be materially correct. We, as your auditors, obviously can't look at every transaction that happens throughout the year. We have materiality thresholds, basically number thresholds that we look at, transactions and items, balances over certain amounts. We test those. We go through other processes to test other certain items, but basically we come up with a guidance to issue an opinion to basically say that, all right, we believe that in all things considered, the statements are materially correct. So that's a good one.
Zach,
Yep.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Would you mind putting your slides in slideshow mode or presentation mode or something so we can see the slide taking up the whole screen?
On my screen it is, so it must not be.
Maybe it's connecting with the wrong thing on your laptop.
That could be. I wonder
Sorry.
if. No, that's totally fine. Thanks for stopping me. I'll stop and restart. Let's see what. These. So is it, when I do that, is it not going into slideshow mode?
It's not. It's still the same. We see you like three on the right, and then, the slide in the middle, but it's not taking up
Yeah.
the full screen.
Okay. Interesting. Technology. I didn't know I was a technology boomer. Entire screen. Let's try this. How about that?
Looks great. Thank you so much.
All right. I figured it out. Thank you. Bear with me. All right. Well, I'll go through briefly what I was just talking about. This was the first slide. Just kind of what our job is as your auditor. Issue an opinion on the statements, issue a report on compliance and internal controls, and issue a report on Minnesota statutes related to charter schools. Results of that. I was kind of in the middle of this one. Again, that first bullet point, unmodified opinion, that's a good thing. Everything in the statements we believe to be materially correct. That's us kind of just wrapping up there. Second thing, no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in relates to internal control and compliance. So on that report that we issue, we didn't notice any control issues throughout our testing that we did. We look to make sure that kind of the financial processes that are in place are sufficient. Obviously, those processes can't protect everything, including fraud, but we believe that those, especially with you guys having processes kind of over at Edfin there with Bridget's team, obviously they do a good job of making sure that all the things around the financials and the accounting work are done properly as they should be. In regards to the Minnesota statutes, the Minnesota legal compliance report, we did issue one finding this year. It's probably the most common finding you'll see when it comes to the Minnesota statutes. There were 2 months. It looks like it was September and October in 2024 where I believe you guys have letters of credit. Your bank deposits, your bank balances exceeded the amounts of your letters of credit and the $250,000 FDIC limit that you guys get. So technically you guys had some uninsured balances as of month end in those 2 months. It looks like that was corrected by the bank that holds those letters in the subsequent months, but it is there was 2 of 12 months that were technically uninsured. So that's what that report finding is in regards to.
Zach, it's Bridget.
Yep, go ahead, Bridget.
Hello, members of the board as well. I just wanted to follow up with that audit finding. So Zach is correct. And as a follow-up, Cecilia and I met with the bank early last week, and this has already been rectified as we move into our FY26 year. So basically, the bank is going to sweep our money overnight into, definitely a collateralized account, and then they sweep it back in the morning. Kind of a high-level description of what's going to happen. And then really, really good news there is that when they sweep it overnight, it goes into a high-yield, basically interest-bearing account. And so hopefully North Lakes is going to see some increase in interest earnings from all of this change as well. So just wanted to let the board know that this has been rectified already.
Yes, thank you for that, Bridget. That's like I said, it's one of the more common ones that we see. Not that we want to claim that it's not a big deal, because of course it's part of the audit guide that we test, and so therefore it inherently is. But as Bridget said, it's been corrected, and that's a very common approach to do the sweep account, and that makes things easy and helps ensure that this doesn't happen again. So all good things there. Now, as we jump forward, we're going to start to jump into some of the numbers. These next few slides I'm going to skip through pretty quickly. Don't be alarmed that I'm skipping over them quickly, because we'll get to some ones that are more kind of pertinent to what you guys look at. The first few slides here are overall school data and how it needs to be presented in accordance with accounting rules. So that includes all things capital assets, such as fixed assets, long-term liabilities, any debts or long-term liabilities like compensated absences, or you'll see on there deferred outflows and deferred inflows of resources. What are those? Those are liabilities that are associated to the school for pension. You guys are in pension or para and TRA, so there's liabilities that the district has to report as part of their financial statements for their portion of that para and TRA plan. So this is just a quick snapshot of that. Not that it's not important, because it is, and otherwise why would we be reporting on it? But it's kind of more so for just to meet the accounting standards and presentation. So you'll see the only thing I'm going to point out is basically the bottom line. There's a net position, which is a negative net position, similar to last year of that 8 million. That just essentially means that there were more liabilities and deferred outflows over assets, but that's not really your day-to-day operations in a representation of the long-term, outlook of the school or anything. It just kind of takes in all things accounting and the way things need to be presented in according with the standards. So that's essentially your balance sheet is the net position. The next one is the change in net position. Again, this is just a snapshot year over year. We're going to talk about revenues and expenses here shortly, so I'm not really going to say too much other than your change in net position for any government-wide statements this year was a positive 175,000, but that's about all I'll say in regards to that. These ones are the ones that you guys will be more interested in. This is kind of the day-to-day fund operations snapshot as of the end of the fiscal year, 6/30/2025. General fund, food service, building company. This is your balance sheet, assets, liabilities, fund balances. A couple of things to point out. If you look at your general fund, you'll notice kind of that bottom third portion. Total fund balances is about 1.3 million, which is, you'll see there's kind of three categories there. Non-spendable, restricted, and unassigned. Most of your fund balance is unassigned. So that category essentially means that, that's your kind of rolling balance to be allocated, to be budgeted for future spending. The restricted balances are tied up in dollars that you have received that are to be spent for a specific purpose. And then non-spendable just means you'll see that it lines up with your prepaid expenses. That essentially just means that those dollars have actually already been spent. Therefore, they are non-spendable. Now we'll talk about this slide. I'm going to skip over only because we're going to talk about it more in depth on the next two slides. This is essentially your income statement for each of the three funds. But I think an easier way to sort of look at these is a budget to actual. So you'll see in general on these that total revenues are about 9.65 million. Total expenses for the year, just over 9 million. Other financing sources, which are non-cash items such as issuing a lease and a loan, a finance purchase this year, that your net change in fund balance is that bottom right corner. just shy of $677,000 in net change, basically net income for the year. Most of that being from the general fund, which we'll talk about here in just a second. This is essentially the same report, different way to look at it, probably more useful to you guys. Budget to actual general fund. So this actual column is the same column from the previous slide, except now we have a little bit of reference to your original adopted budget and your revised budget that happens later in the year, and then some variances to go along with that. So again, in the actual column, your net change in fund, that's, well, I guess we'll start with your revenues, about just shy of 7.7 million. Expenditures just over 7, to get you essentially operating, for lack of a better term, operating income of about $600,000 increase this year. Those other financing sources tack on another 80 to make it just shy of 680,000. So how was that in relates to your budget? We do the variance compared to the revised budget, since that's the most updated and recent version that you guys approve. You'll see a big variance here in that other local and county revenue. Have a little reference to that. That's mostly off because this year you guys got a big bump in revenue from the ERC money that came in right at the end. I believe it was actually in July that we booked it back because it relates to a prior year back into fiscal year 25. I think that was pushing $500,000 itself, 400 and something thousand dollars, I believe. So that's why you're going to have a big increase there of actual revenue over budgeted. Looks like some of your state and federal revenue came in a little higher than you had budgeted for as well. Those are obviously related to the state grants and formulas there, but all things considered, pretty close. As far as your expenses go, again, it looks like expenses came about $160,000 under budget, which is good in general, and all things considered. I know $160,000 is a lot, but all things considered, pretty close in terms of budgeting. So that's kind of how the general fund shook out for FY25. And again, if I go back to the previous 2 slides, you'll see to point out that unassigned fund balance came in about $1.27 million. Jumping forward now to the food service fund. This is kind of the other fund we'll talk about briefly. Again, the actual is the same as the previous slide. How close was it to budget? Very close. Hard to budget these types of things as well, especially with the new funding in the state of Minnesota, especially allocating between state and federal dollars with the free lunches. So total revenue in food about $291,000. Total expenditures $306,000 for a loss just shy of $15,000 in the food service fund. You had budgeted to cover some deficit there, and the transfer didn't need to happen, as you had about $60,000 in the food service fund left as the beginning of the year. So with that negative $15,000 this year, you're left at the ending food service fund balance of about $45,000. So that's kind of the numbers portion that we'll talk about. If you have this copy of the statements themselves, I just wanted to point out the footnotes. I mean, the statements, I think, are 50, 60 pages. The majority of that, 2/3 of that, probably is the footnotes. This is where you'll find most of the information. So I just want to kind of run through each of the notes quick and just kind of let you know what's in there. Notes 1 is significant accounting policies. Excuse me. A lot of sort of your definitions, encyclopedia sort of the different accounting terminology that's used. What are our receivables? What's our policy around leases and compensated absences and those sorts of things. That's where you'll find it. It's a pretty significant note. Lots of reading material, I guess I could say. Note 2, deposits and investments. This is where you'll find some extra information about what types of investments the school holds. The maturities of those investments. Are they short-term? Are they long-term? Are they 1 to 3 years? It kind of breaks down some of those types of things, and includes some ratings of how those public investments are rated as well. Note 3 is capital assets. So it's things such as your equipment, buildings, and any other fixed assets that you have. There's a little bit more of a breakdown there as compared to your normal balance sheet line item. Similarly, long-term obligations. This is where you'll find things such as your debt, your leases, your compensated absences, which had some extra work done this year by Bridget and the team around compensated absences. I'll point that out. There's some new accounting rules about how we needed to account for those. So you'll find some information regarding that as well. Net pension liability, you'll notice this is a big part of note 6 as well. This is where you'll find tons of information. This comes directly from the state actuaries. They, as I said, kind of off the top, they require some disclosures and reporting around deferred inflows, outflows, and net pension liability. Pages and pages of information. I would say if you're really bored, you can read some of that information, but good information nonetheless that comes directly from the state plan. Interfund balances, any due to froms, that would probably be from your any amounts owed between your or transfers between your 3 funds there. Risk management, commitments and contingencies, net position, fund balances, that final note. It's a breakdown. We talked about, I think off the top, there was about $50,000 in restricted fund balance. I think that breaks down to what those funds were. I think majority, if not all of them, would be some of those state dollars you received during the year that hadn't been spent as of the end of the year. So they're required to be spent on certain state programs. Otherwise, that's it. That's all I have for you today. If anybody has any questions that we don't tackle here in the next few minutes, feel free to reach out to myself, to the partner on the engagement, Rob, who oversees all this, or you can funnel those questions through Bridget as well. She might be able to answer some, and if she can't, she'll come to us and we can get those answers for you as well. But there, I just went on for, I don't know, 20 minutes probably. So I don't see anyone asleep yet, but thank you for your time, and let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, did anyone have any questions for Zach? Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much, Zach.
Yep.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you. And a quick shout out to Bridget and her team over there. Again, this is a pretty quick turnaround for us. We started this in August, finished here in about 2 months. Seems like a long time in the audit world. That's a quick turnaround. So shout out to her and her team over there to get this issued on time for your guys' meeting tonight. So appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. I would say the same thank you to you and your team for the quick turnaround. We appreciate it. All right. Because I can't see the agenda, I'm sorry, everyone. We do need the board to approve the FY25 audit.
One moment, Bridget.
Okay.
Bridget,
Yes.
do you need it approved this month?
It doesn't have to be this month, no.
Okay.
You
we
can
will-
approve it next month if you want it. We just have to send everything to MDE audited electronic data by November 30th. And then 12/31, the report's got to go to MDE.
Perfect. We will do it next month. Thank you so much, Bridget.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night. All right, gonna make a note for myself before we move forward. 1 second. Okay, moving on to something fun. We have a few NHS members. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant I'm excited. I meant that I'm excited for this. I do realize the timing of that. My apologies. No, I just meant I'm excited for them to be here. So sorry. Okay, I will invite the NHS members up. If you could Jill, maybe help them with the speaker.
Hello?
So yep, when it's green,
Means it's on.
you're live.
Is the mic hot? Okay. So what do we say?
Introduce yourself, say what you do, and then what you're excited for, like what we've been doing.
Okay, hi everybody. My name's Levi. I'm a senior here at North Lakes Academy, and I am the president of NHS.
Oh, do I even need the microphone? Is there a point? Oh, okay. I'm Arwen, and I'm a senior, and I'm vice president.
I'm Remy. I'm a junior. I'm the treasurer.
Okay, and one thing I'm looking forward to this year is being able to, like, if we want to change something out, we have the power to change it up now. It's like I don't have to kind of sit back and just like wait for stuff to happen. I can now, if we want something to change or if people vote on something to change, we can just have that happen.
I've been really excited. We're planning our trunk or treat event, and mainly haunted halls. It's gonna be good this year. We have our whole shopping list, and I'm really excited to set it up and everything. The kid side is gonna be a Minions theme. It's gonna be really exciting. I hope you can all come and see it. But that's been really fun, just to plan and organize. I really like doing that type of stuff, so I've been having fun. But another big thing is we've been working on a lot of food drives, which is really exciting because recently I learned that a lot of this food is going to our community, specifically in our schools, which has been really exciting, and I want to like push that to you guys. If you also like when we do food drives, like really push it to people, because it is like not even just helping like Forest Lake, but it's our people in our school and our families.
Something I'm really kind of enjoying is the concession stand. Yeah. I have more. We've made $400 already, $400 whole dollars. Yeah, it's really fun. The what is it? 7th and 8th graders kind of want to get in on it, but we're still kind of thinking about how we would do that because they're not actually like in National Honor Society, so that might be kind of difficult. But yeah, it's fun. Every Friday, and then we are planning to donate the profits at the end of the year to Helping Hands. Yeah.
It's not going to me.
Oh, all right.
We can give you
Okay.
Just for anyone watching, when is the trunk or treat event?
Saturday the 24th or 23rd, 25th, because on
Saturday the 25th.
we set it up.
And
From 10 to 1?
That is from 10 to 1, guys.
from 10 to 1, yes.
Do come.
At the K6 building, in the parking lot, there will be a bunch of trunks out there with a bunch of cool decorations. And then on the inside of the school, in the hallways down there, and food trucks. There will be food trucks. There's going to be a haunted side and a not haunted side. And you get to decide if you want to be scared or if you want to be a minion.
And we should convince Levi to be Gru.
I'm not going to be Gru.
I just want to make a note that, first of all, these three are awesome kids, awesome leaders, and Remy is also on our district advisory group. He's our student representative, so thank you for that, Remy.
And Hope is our
secretary.
She's our secretary, and she cannot be here tonight, so pretend like she's here.
Perfect. We will pretend. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to stick around, you're more than welcome. Otherwise, you're good to go.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Okay, we are moving on to item D, which is the executive director's report. So I will invite Cecilia Dodge to speak on that.
Thank you, everybody. We have a link to the executive director's report. If you happen to have downloaded your agenda before midday, go back out to the public calendar and click on the link for the agendas, and you will find an updated agenda with the executive director's report in it. It was neglected to be in there when we sent it out Thursday afternoon. And then I have a few other things that are linked in that agenda besides the report. So I hope that you have read through the whole thing. There is always a lot of good information. I'm going to hit a couple highlights from this report, and then I'm going to go through the other links. This October enrollment report at the top, unfortunately, is only showing 405 students. That is fewer than we reported in our Mars report on October 1. We are going through a process, started this afternoon and will continue tomorrow, and to figure out if we are missing any kids in this number, sort of looking at our processes, because we are not aware of any losses of kids, so we're not sure why that number is so low. At least at the K-6, we're not aware of any losses of kids. So nonetheless, it's a disappointing number, and we have a lot to talk about in terms of enrollment, which we'll get to in a couple minutes. I wanted to share that having our own special ed director is fantastic, as Kelly Gallagher said. And I have had Tracy Ogren, our special ed director, putting some of the special ed news in the executive director spot because it's district-wide news. So I think we want to talk about modifying this report so we have like a K-12 spot for things that are not necessarily me but are district-wide. But that's where you'll find a bunch of special ed news in this report, is in the executive director spot right now. So, you know, you've probably heard a lot about the READ Act, and under academic achievement, right at the top of this report, right below the enrollment table, you'll see that we're talking about some Lexia training. That is our curriculum and our training around the READ Act to help our teachers learn the science of reading. And so now our special ed department, the paras and the teachers, will be training staff to incorporate. Thank you. Okay.
Did anyone have any questions?
I actually do. So we, going back to the withdrawals, because I mean, it looks like different grades have different amounts with that. So is it numerical errors? Do we know, I guess? It just seems like it's broken down where it's not like one number, you know, per grade.
So we wouldn't expect it to be one number per grade. Kids do come and go from charter schools. You know, we've had some kids leave already this year from both buildings. They do come and go. So we wouldn't expect those withdrawals in September to be all in one grade or anything, because this is during the school year.
Right, I was looking more at just where they're spread out, where you'd expect. It's just, I guess, do we know the reason that the kids are leaving?
Right. We do not know the reasons every kid leaves, but it's definitely an area that we need to improve our exit surveys. And maybe Josh is our data guy, and maybe he can, if it's okay with Madam Chair, he can go to the mic.
Yes, it's fine with me.
A few of the unenrollments for this past month, some of them are 15-day drops. So when a student reaches 15 consecutive days of unexcused absences, we legally have to unenroll them. So some of those are 15-day drops that they signed up to go to school here, never showed up. And now you're seeing that on the enrollment report. So that's some of those. We know for sure that a few of them from the 712 campus are students that have temporarily left us to seek treatment and will be coming back once they are done as well.
Thank you, Josh. And I think I would add to that to say that, you know, we've been really looking at this carefully already, and we need to look at it more carefully. And we're looking at our practices, the lead tracking, the lead nurturing, and our enrollment. And one mistake that we had was counting some of those kids in our estimates that we were hoping would come, and that their parents had told us they would come, and then we couldn't reach them. So we counted them somewhat by accident until they were the 15-day drop, until we saw that they did not come. But every day you can hope that they are coming until after 15 days we have to drop them from our enrollment. But they're kids we didn't get a records request for, so that means they're not enrolled anywhere else. So, you know, they're kind of mystery kids, or kids we're still assuming or hoping will show up. So, you know, I think we need to change our practices and not count those kids. And that's one lesson learned here.
And do we have a process in place to follow up with kids that are leaving, or even the 15-day drops, that finding out why they didn't come here? And I guess it's coming back to more the enrollment piece too, is what are people saying? You know, if they're enrolled, there's some interest, you know, and if they've at least applied or whatever it is, and then they're not. I guess to me, that's the big thing, is there's a reason they're not, and with a larger amount, why? And I guess that's where I'd be curious to see what that is.
Yep.
So
And I think it was last month I asked the same thing. What are we doing when families leave? How are we getting data that says these are the reasons why? So that we can start correcting those reasons.
So we have a script to use, and we have exit surveys to use. Are we getting 100% of these? No. Part of it is we don't have the bandwidth. We need to rearrange some workloads so that we have the bandwidth to at least pursue that data with 100% of the kids we lose. Oftentimes, families, when they've decided to leave, they're not interested in talking to us anymore. So we can't, even if we had outreach to 100% of the kids who we lose, we wouldn't get 100% response, but we are not getting 100% even asked. So I think that whenever the office managers get someone who says they're leaving, or we get a records request, we always ask. So I guess we do have 100% that way, but we don't always have, for example, administrators following up 100% of the time? Or do we have one place where we can go and find graphs and charts of all that data? Not. So we have to build our capacity to be a little more organized with that. I will say the reasons are kind of all over the place in elementary. In secondary, it's more often, I want the bigger school, I want the bigger school. So we do have some ways we can meet that we're excited to share tonight.
And that'd just be nice to know. You know, I mean, even the limited feedback that we do is because if it's, I want to play sports in a larger school, I get that. You know, but if we're starting to see some trends, you know, month over month, you know, that's where it's how do we correct that, and then just making sure that, you know, we have the information to put our heads together on it, I guess is my thought.
So are you saying that Lauren and Stacy are the ones that make these calls?
Not Lauren and Stacy, Kayla and Stacy. Lauren's not our office
Okay,
manager.
so Kayla and Stacy are making these calls.
If they get a request for records from another school, so that means that's their trigger
Yep.
that somebody's leaving, or families come in and say we're leaving, they will ask, whether it's in person, on the phone, or by email, they will ask, can I ask, you know, why you're leaving, that kind of thing. That's good, but the handoff to principals is pretty consistent, but not 100%, and that is, you know, we really think an administrator reaching out is usually more impressive to a family than a secretary. And so it's just a matter of carving out space for that to happen, and then organize. It does happen, but not 100% of the time. And then organizing that data better, like you said.
I'm glad to hear that it's something that you want to prioritize, because I feel like as a board member who's been here for a little bit, this is something we've kind of been asking for. And so it would be nice to know why they're leaving so that we can track that and hopefully correct whatever it is, if it's something within our control, of course. So I'm glad to hear that it's a priority. Thank you.
A quick question. When we get new families that come in, what are we asking them? How do they find us? What are the conversations that are had?
That's another great question. So we are asking them how they found us. And we have that data. It's probably not pulled together into a beautiful report, but we have that data. It's oftentimes word of mouth. It's oftentimes a friend. A friend goes here, a neighbor goes here. And our marketing firm that we contracted with last year said word of mouth is your best marketing. So we do have an idea that I'm talking with the administrative team about tomorrow, about really ramping up that word of mouth, that ambassador role. So I'm pretty excited about that. But sometimes they'll say online. And we really need to know, we need a second question when they say online, because what online? Did you stumble across our website in a Google search, or did you find us on social media? You know, what specifically online? So then we'll understand where to put our money.
One thing that I was going to say is I'm becoming increasingly concerned about enrollment, just because it's now kind of 20 down for where we budgeted it to be. What are we currently doing to support our enrollment other than social media?
That's a great question. So in your agenda packet, there is a link for recent marketing efforts. And you can click on that to read, like I was talking about, a lot of the different things that have been happening. We currently have digital marketing happening at 3 Forest Lake businesses. The Grillium, the Loco, what's the Loco Taco? That's not quite right. You know what I'm, Rancho Loco, thank you. And Kodiak Coffee. That is digital marketing. We have a strategy for getting our rack cards out to, the rack cards are a little one-sided cardstock promotional material, getting out to preschools. And that's got a little wrapper that has our 3 big events. Obviously, the advertising, we do Facebook ads for things like our trunk or treat. Those are kind of the biggies right now. What am I missing, anybody? Those are the biggies right now. But we need a giant strategy for recruiting kindergartners, and that has to come very soon. So, because families look for kindergarten in December and January, a lot of them do. So, Oh, that's right. We have these really great decals that you can put on your car that says NLA that we are going to distribute. So I should probably tell you about this this plan that we're going to try to roll out even this week. And it's called the Ambassador Toolkit. So we're going to have a little letter, and we're going to have teachers customize the letter, and so that won't happen this week. But they will customize the letter by saying, let's look at hope right now. What are the 3 things I do in my classroom that makes my classroom special? And what are the 3 things that I observe about NLA that makes it a really great place? And that will be embedded in a letter that will standardize that talks about NLA, and it's just our key messages. And that will get mailed out to each secondary students advisory group or each elementary students class, along with 2 of those decals to put on your own cars, mom and dad at home, and 3 rat cards with an invitation to each family to share those with 3 potential NLA students. There's also going to be an ask in there for our families to place a review on Niche or U.S. News and World Report or Great Schools. Those are the 3 websites where families can go to read reviews on schools. We don't use Google. Google doesn't do school reviews. Those are the 3 that I mentioned are the places where people do go to find schools. So we try to get families to do those reviews at our back to school night. Ela and I had tables there, but I didn't see any new reviews. So those are really helpful, and so we're going to try a little harder to get those. So that Ambassador Toolkit is the idea that I'm sharing with our team this week, and we hope to roll out.
Quick question. I was looking at the communications impact report. I mean, there's a lot of really good activities going on. Do we have a way to know if people are responding to these things? I mean,
Sean, you're full of good questions tonight. That is my one area, that is one of my areas where we need to improve. We have created some trackable QR codes for some of those efforts so that if someone was at an event and scanned the trackable QR code, we could see, oh, that thing worked because they found us from that. But do we always get the trackable QR codes on things? Not always. Sometimes they're regular QR codes, sometimes there's no QR codes. Do we always have anyone sitting down looking at the data? No. So again, what we're discovering here is we don't have an infrastructure to be an enrollment machine. And of course our budget is tight and we're trying to keep all the money in the classroom. So it's been a stretch to try to figure out how to free up people to focus on this. The other thing, of course, is, the sense of urgency about the size of our enrollment and the size of our expenses.
and that's where I guess I was going with the 2. We're spending money on advertising, and if it's not effective.
So, and I know that this is important, and I know that we're trying to have a board workshop soon to really dig into these things. I just want to check in with our chair because tonight we have a lot of, big stuff to cover just in the agenda too. So however long you want to spend on this, we can also have this conversation when we meet in the, near future.
Sure. Do you feel like you got your question answered? Okay. Were there any further questions?
You mentioned digital marketing. Are we doing any digital marketing in like the White Bear, Lino Lakes area?
Currently, we are not. Over the summer, we had the 2 big billboards, but no current digital marketing in White Bear or Lino Lakes. Our movie theater advertising expired in August. I know we got at least 1 kid out of that, so that was worth the money.
Okay. So are we gonna plan on doing any more of that?
We can sure put it on the table. All these things are expensive, and it's so hard to know what works and what doesn't work, so. But this summer, for White Bear Lake, for example, we went to 6 or 7 of the Market Fest events and talked to as many people as we could get to come to our table. It's like the state fair there, I think Miss Erickson said. There's a lot of competition for eyeballs, but.
Just because it's on the agenda, and I know that we do have a busy agenda, I do want to address wait lists, and I don't think that we did. It looks like we still have 12 at 4th grade, but if I remember correctly, last month there were more people on wait lists. Did we find some information out on that?
Yes and no. Kayla Peterson, our elementary office manager, has been calling through those wait lists. And I just don't have the information in front of me as to who's interested and who's not. But, you know, a couple of things. I know that 3 people have been invited from the 6th grade waiting list to come, but I don't know the status of those. There are 6 kids, I think, on that list, or approximately, so 7. So what I don't know is how far we've gone through the list, but we could take those kids right now. I'm looking at Hope. That would be a big class, but we could definitely take them. And then we are making a plan for a way to bring those kids in, a really interesting plan. It's a little too early to share it with the board, but we're working really hard on it. It would not impact our current staff, our current classrooms. So, and then the 7-12 plan for getting more students in is something that Jessica Oftedal, our 7-12 principal, is going to share with us in a little bit. But we're actively working through those waiting lists, and we need to be able to get you more information on that.
So the 7 that I saw from last month, they've been invited, and now we're waiting to see the 7 for 6th grade.
We invited 3 6th graders because we have 3 openings. What I don't know is if did they say yes or no, and if they said no, did we move on to the next 3? So, and that particular person who does that work was not in today, so I couldn't get an update.
No problem.
Okay, so I want to clarify something, because you're saying 6th grade, there's 7 on the wait list, but we're showing there's 0 on the wait list for 6th grade with 7 applications. So what?
So what I don't know is how this enrollment chart picks up waitlist kids, but those 7 applications are probably, those 7 kids should be counted as waitlist kids. Technically, if you have an open application, you might be a waitlist kid. So we have an internal document that keeps a more updated wait list.
Because last month we had 11 on the wait list for 6th grade, and now it's saying 0.
Right, so some of those might be, here's how it happens in the Power School enrollment, and Josh will correct me if I'm wrong, but a family will complete this initial enrollment interest form.
Mm-hmm.
That means that goes onto that list that shows 7 now. If they never go any farther and complete all of our registration paperwork and never walk through our door, they just stay in that limbo until we can get confirmation from them that they're not coming. So from the 11 down to the 7, we've been able to reach.
No, it's 11 to 0.
Oh, okay, but the
Last
7.
month it was 11,
okay.
Now it's saying 0.
Okay, but you said there's 7 on the.
For the applications.
Yep, an application in our land means they're on our wait list. So we have an internal document that shows wait list. So we're going to have to maybe work on that language or something. So we've got more kids on 4th grade waiting list, and right now we have posted an elementary position knowing that potentially we could do something with that teacher, should we get one, to take those kids off that waiting list. Maybe 4th grade, we're not really sure at this point yet.
Yes.
Yeah, we're showing the applications for the 2025-2026. Those numbers are on our wait list. They're just not documented here. But on my master sheet, these numbers match. So I have the same. Yeah.
So then for clarification, when I'm looking at the fourth grade, it's not 12 applications and 12 on a wait list. It's 12 total. Those are duplicates the way I'm reading it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Any further questions on that? Okay, and then Cecilia, do you feel like we talked about the recent marketing efforts, or would you like to go through that further?
No, I think we covered it. We can definitely talk more about it when we meet again.
What about item C, wage agreement and salary
Yes,
breakdown?
I'm seeing that that did not get linked. I'm going to go over it briefly with you. It is in the October board folder if you want, and we'll have to link it afterwards. I'm sorry. I'm looking for it right now. I am going to have to find it in a little bit. Can we come back to it at this meeting? I don't,
You want to come back to it still at this meeting?
if you want to. Otherwise, we can save it till November if you want. It's not that important.
You want to postpone it?
Sure, but we would have to vote on that.
Yes, we can vote on it. Okay, so, yeah, we're gonna vote to postpone that. So I am seeking a motion to postpone the wage agreement and salary breakdown for the November meeting.
I will make a motion to postpone, thank you, the wage agreement and salary breakdown till November's meeting.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. All right, we are going to move on to item E, which is the report from the DEC committee, and I'm going to pass to you, Treasurer Dale.
All great, thank you. So we had 2 meetings this month, one on October 2nd and the other on October 9th. All members of the DEC were in attendance for both meetings. Our objective was to finalize the executive director goals and create an administrative and office personnel survey to be sent out in late October. During the October 2nd meeting, we focused on the executive director's goals for fiscal year 25-26, but unfortunately didn't have time to work on the survey. Another meeting was scheduled for October 9th, where we finalized the ED goals and generated the survey questions. So the Administrative Office Personnel Survey is the first of 3 surveys that we hope to conduct this fiscal year. The first survey, which is scheduled to go out tomorrow, just a little heads up, should provide a baseline for Cecilia and the DEC. Another survey will be distributed late December, early January, and finally late March and early April. We hope these surveys will be another way to help us measure Cecilia's success over the fiscal year in conjunction with her goals for the fiscal year as well. That is my summary. Any questions?
Yes, any questions?
All right, thanks.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. We will.
I'm
Oh,
sorry, I was
no,
thinking.
that's okay.
I was
Go
processing.
ahead.
So I guess reading through some of these goals, I guess my main question is why do we not have an enrollment goal?
I'm not sure if you have a more recent version, but there is adjustment that we made to one of the goals that does include enrollment on it. But I'm not sure if that's.
Is it the one that just says declining enrollment?
I believe so.
So, but that's tied in with the Osprey contract, right? With having the 3 remaining tasks due, that was actually due in June, which is now due by Thanksgiving, and then talking about Exhibit S indicators.
Yep.
So, but why, correct me if I'm wrong, you've had increase enrollment as goals the last 2 years. So why are we not continuing with that as a separate goal?
So I believe we made a reference to enrollment in a way that is, follows statute, because our statutory purpose is to educate children. And also, we have performance goals due to Osprey Wilds around finance, right? So the way we fix our finance is either increasing our enrollment or doing something else to reduce our expenditures, or both, right? So they provided guidance to us to have our executive director performance goals and executive director job description follow what I'm required to do by statute. Increasing enrollment as a standalone thing is not required by statute. It's of course important to NLA's future, right? It's very important to NLA's success. But we chose to put it in here. If you look under number 2, these are the finance goals. And so I think that's where we put this, right, Chris? Like in 2C, we have executive director will recommend at least one option to the board to significantly address the school's financial situation by calendar year end. But there were other things in here that.
Declining enrollment.
Oh, yes, declining enrollment.
Yep.
Yep. So we did it that way. So progress on 50% of the financial indicators to address NLA's disproportionately high lease costs and declining enrollment. So that's where it's addressed. So actually increasing enrollment is out of my control, but meeting these goals is in my control, I guess, is the way I would think about it.
I'm just looking at the little box that you provided that says what we're able to hold you accountable for, and it says fulfillment of the school's goals. And I would say that it is a goal of ours to increase enrollment. And so I'm just wondering, using that as a reference, why can't it be its own goal?
I mean, you guys are my boss, so if you want it in there, it will go in there. That's fine. It makes me uncomfortable because I am not single-handedly able to increase this enrollment. I'm working my tail off to increase enrollment, and I'm trying to help the whole organization do it. But this area has declining enrollment, and our trends have been going down every year for the past 5 years. So I'm nervous about an unachievable goal.
Yeah, I think that as far as, if I'm looking through your goals, a lot of them are not achievable on your own. You definitely need the support of your administrative team. And I agree that that's probably true if we were to add a goal about enrollment. But I think it communicates the right idea to our community, our staff, our kids that go here, our bondholders, that this is a goal that we have. And you, as our executive director, I think it should be under.
I mean, you're the
your
face of
goals.
our company,
Right.
right? So the buck stops with you. So whether that is you directly doing these things or overseeing others to do these things, I mean, We've had declining enrollment every year since you've been here. So at what point are we going to really dig in and start making sure that we have increased enrollment? Because without increased enrollment, none of this other stuff matters. It really doesn't.
I agree with that. I agree with it 100% that we need to increase enrollment. If the board feels you need to add that as a performance goal for me, I of course will not argue with that.
Let's take some time to think about it, since we are circling back to these goals later in the agenda, and let's keep moving if that's okay with everyone. Thank you for sharing, everyone. We'll move on to the approval of NLA's environmental literacy plan. So I just want to share with you that it did get approved by Osprey Wilds, which is wonderful news. I know that Chelsea Thielen works very hard on this, overseeing it, and all of our teachers work very hard making lesson plans that are approvable by Osprey, so I just wanted to thank everyone with that. Cecilia also informed me that our dishwashers are up and running, some more great news for us, and there's really just a good energy surrounding environmental education, so I just wanted to share that with you tonight. All right, as long as there's no questions about that, we will keep moving. Alrighty, so we are reviewing the draft of the strategic plan. I want to share that this is going to be up for approval in November. So if you have any questions or concerns that you don't voice at tonight's meeting, please be sure to share them with Cecilia before November's meeting. Cecilia, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Morgan. So this is a draft because it's huge and it was being created at the exact same time as the annual report. And even if I would have been able to get it done, it would probably be too much for you all to take in both the annual report and this at one meeting. So I just want to introduce you to the title page and tell you that this has high-level goals. It needs formatting. I need Nick's help or Josh's help to format this, but we have about 20-some goals here. You can see they have some funny numbers at the front, like G1 or whatever. Those correspond with our contract goals in our Osprey Wilds contract. So essentially, these are the high-level goals and what exhibit they come from. So exhibit G is our academic exhibit. So you'll see anything with a G comes from our academic exhibit in our contract. Then if you scroll down a little bit, still on this title page to starting on line 17, you see that I have a code or a key for comprehensive achievement and civic readiness. So that's the new fancy name for the old statute that was called World's Best Workforce. So I just want you to know that everything in this report is cross-referenced to comprehensive achievement and civic readiness requirements. So those are around college and career readiness, closing any academic achievement gaps, ready for kindergarten, and there's actually a fourth one that still needs to get added, which is creating lifelong learners. So I just want you to know that title page gives you the keys for how these goals are organized. Then if you'll go to the corrective action tab, you've seen these goals before. These are goals in Exhibit S. So a bunch of them toward the bottom of this page are the goals in green that we've already accomplished. Those were corrective action that was supposed to be done by June 30th. And most of those goals at the bottom are complete or will be complete tonight when you pass the last couple policies or approve the last couple policies that you needed to approve. But the ones towards the first half of this page, they're all in yellow, and that means they're in progress, and they go down to, at least line 33. those are goals that will take us a long time to accomplish, right? So they're in progress. We have till the end of this contract to show improvement on these goals. They're for the period of the contract, which actually started last school year, even though we didn't get the report till kind of the end of last school year. So those are organized by column A is our pillar in our strategic plan. So, you know, our pillars are academic growth, financial health, community connections, and excellence in governance. So that column A shows that they're from, let's say, the academic pillar, and then slash area, math growth, whatever, that's the area in our Osprey Wilds report, and then column B cross-references with the comprehensive achievement and civic readiness. So we're very organized with this because it's a lot and we have to be. So then if you go to the academic growth tab, you will see all those goals that have that same yellowish color are carried forward. So we pasted all those academic goals from Exhibit S into this academic growth tab that apply here. And now you'll see we've started to flesh out the SMART goals, and then we have benchmarks, and then we have how are we going to get there, and what will be our evidence of progress. So the principals, especially the J team, have worked really hard in beginning to flesh out how do we get there. These are almost all things we're already doing, of course, because this started, well, this is what schools do for the most part. Some of these are new things, but most of them are the things that we're already doing. But we have to mention, these are the ways that we're going to meet these goals, and then these are the ways we're going to measure. And then there's a place for who's accountable, more specifically what our assessment of it is now, and then if there's a deadline, if there's a status. So those further out columns are the ones that still need fleshing out. Academic growth operational, a lot of our places that we did not meet standard or approach standard to, in our Osprey Wilds report called us out on some operational things that impact academic growth and some instructional leadership. These were the compelling reasons why we added this robust administrative team to try to help us meet these things. So these fall under a different area of Osprey. They fall under operations, instruction and assessment, or operations, curriculum, blah, blah, blah. So that's why they're in this operational area, but it's the same thing. And the yellow ones are carried forward from the corrective action. So they're not new, they're repeated from the corrective action in their correct pillar. And then there may be a few at the bottom that are not coming from that. No, they all are. So we didn't give ourselves any more work than we had to because this is a lot of work. Financial health, similar, and this is not as fleshed out as it needs to be, but we're only bringing forward our goals from our Osprey report, and then some of the SMART goals and benchmarks will be things about enrollment, for example. So those will be in here for you for next month. And then, of course, community connections. These are all coming from, a lot of the colored ones are coming from the Exhibit S, like I said, and then there are a few things in here that are not corrective action. They're goals from Osprey, but not corrective action. And then excellence in governance, this is where a lot of the board and executive director goals are. Luckily, a lot of them are green, but this is, I would say, 85% done. We just need to finish it up. And there's a couple things around equity and assessment that aren't fleshed out as good as they need to be yet. And then the how do we get there, evidence of progress, and who's accountable. We need to have enough of that in there so you guys can approve it. this is required by that Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness statute, and it's far more robust than it ever used to be. That statute changed in 2024. Otherwise, I considered the requirements that that statute had to be sort of a strategic plan light. Now it's a strategic plan heavy. Like, this is more dense and heavy than most strategic plans are, but it represents all the goals we need to meet in our authorizer contract anyway. So it's important that we capture them. Well, that's a lot. I just talked a lot. I'm sorry, but questions?
Wonderful. Hearing nothing, then we will continue on to our next item, which is existing policies with changes for first read. Jill's going to share a little bit on the 4 policies.
Okay. So 413, let me just bring up my notes. These are first read. So we talked about there's old language definitions, particular in how we define protected classes. We talked about model policies that were selected by our committee in September, revised based on the May revision provided. We looked at White Bear Lake Area High School for that one. 506, the student discipline and code of conduct. We added some exclusionary discipline references that were missing. Same for 512, student dismissals. Added some non-exclusionary discipline references that were missing. And then for 806, crisis management, revised by building principals based on review of our crisis management plan in the summer. And we will discuss in the November policy meeting if we want less overall in that.
Did anyone have any questions or comments on those 4 policies tonight? Okay, so these will be up for second read and approval next month. So if you do have any questions or concerns, please reach out to Chris Stewart.
Yep.
Yep, perfect. All right, and then item I is just the policy committee meetings, meeting minutes. Those are for your review. It's a lot of what Jill was just speaking about. And so feel free to go through those as we are reading through more policies later on. Okay, we are moving on to our action items. I want to first talk about approving the music field trip, and I want to invite Maddie to speak and thank her for sticking around for so long. So this microphone over here, if you just press the button, you should be live. Okay. You should be able to screen share.
Oh, just screen share?
Yep.
Cool. What's the room number? 220, right?
Yep.
220, perfect.
Here's your number, Maddie.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, I also have materials printed off. I didn't want to print a bunch because it's a lot, so if you could just share with a partner, that would be preferred. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Maddie Taylor. I'm the 712 band, choir, and general music teacher. So yeah, I'm here to get approval on a band trip to Chicago. The band hasn't traveled in over a decade, and I think it would be a really fun opportunity for the students to broaden their horizons, going to a new place, meeting new people, also getting some good musical experience that they have never experienced before. So, the trip description, so this is from World Strides, which is the company that I would like to use. So take the stage at the Chicago Heritage Festival and we'll showcase our ensemble's talents in the culture capital of the Midwest. We'll join choirs, orchestras, and bands from across the country to perform and receive helpful instruction and feedback by expert adjudicators. We'll see Chicago's top sites with optional experiences like a hop-on, hop-off bus tour or a visit to the Museum of Science and Industry, which I'll go into details about what we're doing. Our event culminates with an exciting awards ceremony, dinner, and tournament show at Medieval Times. So the overall trip cost is $29,654 per student. That'll be $781 for a full paying student, and then $390.50 for our reduced trip. I split it in half. Per adult, it'll be $830 or $880. So the price includes transportation, a charter bus, all meals are covered, all activities. Each student will get a gift. It covers lodging, participation in the festival, and then an NLA band t-shirt and sweatshirt so we can be like twinning on the trip, because it's good to like be like, oh, I know who that person is. So the only thing that the price does not include are food and drinks en route. So if someone is like, we're in the bus for 6 hours and I want McDonald's at the stop, okay, you can buy McDonald's, but that's not included in the cost. And then any souvenirs that students want to buy. The reason why the adult price is $830 or $880 is because if adults, chaperones would like to get a t-shirt and sweatshirt as well, that's where that extra money comes in from. Okay, so the trip overview, we'd leave NLA at about 6 a.m. We'll be using Jefferson coach buses. We'll arrive in Chicago around 12:30. We'll have lunch, go on a Chicago boat tour, which you can see in that picture there. So you get to go on the river, and we'll all be on a boat, and it'll be really fun. We'll also go to Gino's Pizzeria dinner to get some deep dish pizza, Chicago classic. Hamilton is showing when we're going to be there, so I'm really excited about that. So this is the theater, a picture of the theater that Hamilton is showing. We'll check into our hotel, lights out, stuff like that. Saturday will be hotel breakfast. This is the morning of the festival performance, so students will get to perform on stage, and then adjudicators will come up, give some constructive feedback, help work with us, and then we will get to see other groups from all over the United States play as well, and get to connect with them, which will be a really cool experience. Lunch, again, Lincoln Park Zoo and Conservatory. The award ceremony, dinner, and show at Medieval Times. You can see it down there. So it's like literally like an arena, and you watch people like joust and like do medieval things. It's really cool. Then again, return to hotel, lights out. Sunday is just a quick day. We'll wake up, have breakfast. We'll go to Millennium Park to visit the Bean, and there's a lot of other stuff at Millennium Park as well. That's kind of like an overview of it. We'll depart Chicago around 11 a.m. and then arrive back at NLA at about 5:30 p.m. on that Sunday. So here's a long timeline of trip items. We had our trip interest meeting. That was just to answer some parents' questions in case they were still kind of teetering on whether this is something they'd want to send their child to. I would like to do a Kettle River Pizza fundraiser, hopefully from October 21st to November 4th. I know that the PTO is doing the butter braid one. If we need to push that back, that's okay. Like to get out a finalized trip packet to families as soon as possible. They'll have a deposit due, so $52 for full paying students and $27 for reduced price. Shirt designs due, so I'm letting some students, if they'd like to design a shirt, they could submit it and then we can vote from there. We'll have a trip meeting in October. We'll have a November fundraiser. The first payment, full payment, will be due in November as well. We'll do another fundraiser in December. We'll do another trip meeting, the second one, January fundraiser. Final payment due is end of January, and then we'll have a final trip meeting the week before we leave. So just to answer any lingering questions, go over a packing list, stuff like that. So this is just a long timeline. I'd like to do a fundraiser at least once a month. I have lots of parents who are interested in helping facilitate fundraisers as well. So I'd like students to, if they want, be able to fundraise at least half of the trip cost. Okay, so why Chicago and why World Strides? So Chicago, it's close to home. It's a fun, historic city. It's a great musical festival to provide musical experiences to our students, and it's a cheap trip. So I talked to Allison Tucker, who facilitates the international trips, and we would like to do like an every other type situation. So the band would go on a domestic trip or the music department. So since the band hasn't traveled in so long, this is kind of like our test run. And then the next year, I would hopefully like to take the whole music department, so choir and band included. World Strides, I've used World Strides before at my past employment. They offer student-friendly hotels with a night guard, so a guard literally sits at the entrance of the hallway and watches all night and reports to me in the morning, and usually nothing. I also tape doors, just like they did to me when I was in high school. So when it's lights out, I will go around and I'll tape the doors, and if the tape's open, I'll know, because no one else is able to close it for you. World Strides also offers medical, doctors on call, accident and liability insurance coverage, which is in that packet of information, free professional development for me, which is really nice because I'm up for relicensure, free academic credit for students, so if they so choose, they can get free academic credit. They have doctors on call, like I said, and a mental health service as well. So if there's like a mental health crisis during the trip, they have a number that you can call and mental health services to help. They have World Assist, which is 24/7 help thing. You can call anytime if you need help, something's going wrong. They also have the Flag Assistantship Program, which I will talk about in the fundraising portion. So fundraising/scholarships. In the packet I gave you as well, I have a letter to local businesses that I wrote. It'll be hand-delivered letters by me to our local businesses asking for donations to help our free/reduced trip students. Since this is, I see this as an educational trip because they are covering many music standards. They're also, it just gives them a way to really have a musical experience that is unlike any they've had. I want those students to have the ability to do so. So I know Cecilia and Jess have read the letter that I wrote, and it's also in that packet. I know that when I went to the Forest Lake Chamber of Commerce little lunch thing we did, a lot of those businesses are really wanting to help. So I am going to work with our marketing person. What's her name again? Ela, yes. And we're going to make little stickers that says proud supporter of NLA if they donate to give out to businesses so they can. What? Oh, yeah. Yes, yeah, and that's going to be really cool because that's also marketing for us to get more our enrollment up. I know businesses are really wanting to donate. I need about $6,500 for my reduce and free trip students. And if at least 15 businesses donate about $500 each, we would easily make that. Flag Assistantship Program, which is given by World Strides. It's a World Strides-based scholarship program that provides aid to students with family income less than $85,000, which I know is a lot of our students, even those who are paying full price for the trip. I'm working with my free and reduced trip students to make sure that their families are calling to see how much we can get from them first, and then coverage from donations is the second way. Other fundraising. If you never had a Kettle River pizza, they're really good. And students would make $8.50 per pizza, and that's pretty good profit. I'd like to do a concert bake sale. I know that and I were talking about some logistics with that. I know like allergies and stuff like that. I'd like to do that. Bake sales are fun. Other ideas, I was thinking maybe a pancake breakfast, the chocolate bars, which I've been talking to the PTO about because they'd like to do those as well, and just some other fundraising opportunities. Chaperones. So our current numbers will allow for 3 to 4 students per adult. So the amount of chaperones I have currently will make those really small groups to keep eyes on students at all times. All chaperones must be 25 years or older and have some relationship to a student currently in band and going on the trip. So it can't just be Jimmy Joe, who's 19 and wants to go to Chicago. It has to be someone legit. So those are chaperones. And any questions?
I'll make a comment.
Yeah.
Our oldest son with a different school went on 2 of these trips, and from a musical to a just having fun, I mean, absolutely fabulous. So, I mean, it's just, these trips are just great for the kids.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have that want to go or are thinking of going?
29.
Okay.
Yep, so I'm only missing out at about 7. And of course, I always ask parents, like, why? Like, so in the future, we know, and it's mostly just like, they're scared of going alone without a friend, which is a few of them, and also just some financial hardships for some families who don't qualify for free or reduced educational trips.
Awesome.
So we're at 29 students and 8 adults.
I just want to comment. So I essentially work down the hall from Maddie, and I know I've told her this, but I want everybody else to know. I love seeing and hearing what she's doing in the room every day. I have heard dramatic improvements from the first day. I usually try to pop in there and give them a thumbs up, but she's doing a great job. I love that we are getting something like this back for our band and choir kids, our music kids, because it's super important. I was a music kid growing up, and it's very important to have a strong, robust music program. And I'm glad to see you are a part of NLA and love what you're doing, and the kids love you too. So
Thank
good
you,
job.
Jill. Yes, I appreciate it.
Is there a chance we could get this slideshow put into the minutes? Like if you shared the link at some point, not this minute.
Yeah,
but
I'll
like-
share it with you. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you could go ahead.
Okay,
and do it
perfect,
for
thank
me.
you.
That'd be nice. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? All right, I am seeking a motion to approve the music field trip.
I will make a motion to approve the music field trip.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries.
Yay. Thank you all so much. Yes.
Alrighty, next item, item B, is the application to Minnesota State High School League Foundation. In a nutshell, this is the school accepting grants and funding to assist our students in extracurricular activities, such as athletic and fine arts. So this is just something that we do every year that needs to come through the board. Did anyone have any questions on it? Okay, I am seeking a motion to approve Form A.
I'll make a motion to approve Form A.
I will second that motion.
Any further discussion? All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. All right. Chris Dale, I'm going to sign this, and then you are my other signature on this, so I'm going to pass it over.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is our monthly financial statements, September financial report, and October Finance Committee meeting minutes, and I'm going to pass it off to Treasurer Dale.
Thanks. So yeah, we had our finance meeting on October 11th, I want to say. Was it? Yeah, 14th, sorry. We had everybody in attendance except for Jessica, who's out on maternity leave. So, but we did quite a bit of talk about enrollment projections, which we've already had quite a bit of discussion about already. So I'll try to skip a lot of that right now. The September financial report review, we've completed 25% of the fiscal year 25-26. Revenues are at 23%, expenses are at 19%. We should have received almost all of our money from the state by this time. So cash flow is at its highest total for fiscal year 25-26. We expect reductions of cash flow, as the school year commences. So you'll see from now on that if you looked at our finance report that is provided by Bridget, there's a graph on there where the graph shows a decline. That is our decline, is that we are spending our cash flow. And then enrollment increase will help, any enrollment increase will help maintain our stable budget and allow us to hopefully not have to redo our budget this year. We start making payments to teachers and insurance and other costs. The debt covenant ratios are currently trending less than the required percentages, but we hope to increase those as the year goes on like we did last year. And then we have a definite need for a long-term plan to sustain the school's, financial ability here, which we plan to have a future workshop to discuss. We've already discussed our fiscal year audit. We had that earlier tonight, so we can skip over that section. In our next meeting, we hope to have November 11th. That was the 11th I was thinking about. But we still need to just confirm that, so we'll do that through emails through our committee.
Could I add one thing?
Yes.
Thank you. Just a slight revision or correction to what Chris's report was. We will come to you next month with a proposal to amend the budget downward to adjust to the enrollment. So.
Shoot.
Thank you.
Okay, that's okay. There's a lot.
Any other questions?
That was everything? Perfect. So I am seeking a motion to approve September financial report, check register, and deposits, as well as the October Finance Committee meeting minutes.
I will make a motion to approve our September financial report, check registry, and deposits, along with the October Finance Committee meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. I'm going to give Abby a minute. Okay, moving on to the next large item on our agenda is we're going to talk about approving the 24-25 annual report. And I will pass it to you first, Cecilia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to call your attention to the annual report in your agenda. It's 79 pages long, which I'm sure you know because you hopefully reviewed it over the long weekend. This is not, I promise you, this is not me being verbose. It is me meeting all the requirements of what goes in it. Me and Josh primarily. Josh has helped put all of the data in here, and I've done most of the narrative. It's a lot. This is, there's also, I emailed you guys some slides, and I'm going to go through these slides, but that's great to have that up there too. Maybe the slides. Is that okay? Thank you, Hope. I appreciate that. We can always refer into the report, but I think with 79 pages, I wanted to pull some up into slides for you. So let's go into the first slide. This report is required by 2 statutes. This Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness statute, which I referred to with our strategic plan. while this is a report on last school year, and our strategic plan is covering last year, this year, next year, they're related. And so, of course, they're related because our annual report says how we did on things, where we need to improve, and that's what the strategic plan has us working on. So the other statute that requires this is a charter school statute, and so this is required by state statute and our authorizer as one of the ways our authorizer holds us accountable. So that's what drives this report. It also helps us gather the information that's used by Osprey to hold us accountable, to see where we're at with our contract goals, things like that. And I think an important piece of this, not that everyone at home wants to read a 79-page report, but this is a way for us to provide essential information to the public. And along with this, we're required to hold an annual meeting. So just this past Tuesday, the 14th, we held our annual meeting. Thank you, Sarah, for coming. We never get enough, thank you, Caitlin, for coming. We never get enough people, but our whole administrative team stayed. We had a number, 3 or 4 parents. Oh, Becky's here too. So some of the best, most engaged members of the NLA community are here in this room, and that's wonderful. We had a couple of other parents, a couple of other staff who are also parents, and they all go together, I guess. So we went through a lot of this data with the folks who came to the annual meeting, and we had some nice soup and bread, and it was very lovely. Next slide. So I mentioned this CACR, Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness. These are new things that are required in this report. That's why it's quite a bit longer than it typically is. We're required now to report on how we disseminate information on our offerings and our enrollment process to make sure we're targeting diverse populations. We're required now to address goals that prepare students to be lifelong learners. So that's an added goal area in CACR. We are required now to address in this report and moving forward how we ensure the board conducts an annual assessment of its performance. So we've been really talking a lot about an annual assessment of its training needs, but this is a slight variation on that, which is its performance. So we may want to talk about how we'll do that. That plus delta is one way. And then we have to document all the professional development that I've completed. And I will tell you, I don't have it all in this report, but I have a lot in there. So this report contains the other areas plus those that are required. So we report on enrollment, student nutrition, governance and management, staffing, finances, academic performance, innovative practices and implementation of those, and our future plans. So I want to just highlight a few areas of our performance, and then I want to see if folks have questions about the report. And so let's go to the NLA performance. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead without you, Hope. There we go. Of course, when we report on enrollment, we see our downward trend. So 2024-25, we had 464 kids. Now we're lower by 50-ish kids. And what I love about this annual report is it forces us to look at anything that we haven't been looking at or that we're not looking deep enough. So it's a good thing. It's hard, but it's good. We have had great attendance relatively. We beat the state average always on attendance. Last year was almost 80% of our students attended consistently. The state has a definition of what that means. So we typically beat the state average on attendance, which is great, but the state has a target for enrollment of 90%, and we are falling short of that. So we are prioritizing attendance, even though we do beat the state average. Student nutrition, our goal is to have 80% or more of our students retained actually, this should say student retention. We don't want to lose 80%. We want to gain 80%. So this should probably say student retention. But in 24-25, we retained almost 80%. So we almost met our goal. And that was really good. Student mobility, that's mid-year or sometime during the year transfers in and out. Last year was lower than it had been in the past many years. In fact, Bridget Peterson has been working with our school now for quite a few years, longer than me, and she said that in the past, NLA has typically lost students during the year. So we start high, we end lower. Last year was the first year we did not do that. We kept that nice steady 460-ish all year long, which I think is fantastic. So that's just under 8% of this mobility index. And then another way to calculate mobility, thank you, Josh, for calculating all these things. We had a goal, we did 93% of our students who were enrolled for 95% or more of the school year. So that's another way of looking at mobility, and it's good. These are good things that we did last year. Great improvements over 23-24. The next slide is just that really difficult to look at enrollment decline. So the high was 22-23, I believe 603, these numbers are different. October 1 numbers are different than end of year numbers. So if you've seen different numbers, it's partly because of that. All right, let's go to the next quick demographic slide. We do report our demographics, as all school districts do, by special education, English learners, free to reduced lunch, race and ethnicity. And you can see our breakdown. We're still primarily very white. We are over 40% eligible for free and reduced lunch now, which allows us to qualify for Title I funds, and that's very helpful. For the past couple years, we did not have English learners. 22-23, we had a few. We now have one, which makes the other report that you have to approve tonight very important, because we need a solid plan for how we serve English learners. And we're a little bit off our game because it's been a couple years. Let's go to the next slide. This is a high-level look at where we performed strong and where we did not. So I love that we had strong performance on our mission-driven goals. That's our becoming curriculum, on our environmental ed, on screening kindergartners for readiness, and achievement in art and music. That makes me so proud. And our job is to educate kids in the basics too, mostly. And these are areas where we need improvement across the board. And then, so math and reading proficiency and growth, some internal operations things that we'll get into a little, instructional leadership. That's why we, fleshed out this team, and why this administrative team is working so hard, and financial health, as we've spoken about a lot and need to keep speaking about. Quickly, mission-driven goal, 100% of our kids who took becoming classes last year at the 712 campus passed them. That's fantastic, and that's really good work. We need to work a little bit on our K-6 becoming, and we are working on it. We needed to increase the amount of curriculum that's available to our teachers at the proper grade level, and we need to have more robust assessment processes in place at K-6 on becoming, so that's why that percentage is a little low, but we are on track to improve there. Special education, I wanted to note, it's an area of the annual report. Our percentage of our total population that receives special education has been increasing every year for a long time, and in 24-25 we did hit 30%, and maybe even a little above. We we were forced to have some special education teachers on waivers from licensure last year. That's better this year. We only have one left, maybe. That's a trend everywhere that you cannot find licensed special ed teachers. This year, Tracy Ogren worked her tail off as a brand new special ed director and found us licensed special ed teachers, and that's fantastic. But what we did was we provided an expert in special education documentation to help those teachers who are not fully licensed to complete their paperwork. So I feel really good about that. They learned how to do the documentation, and then met our becoming goal. Finances. While we ended the year better than expected, and I hope you understood when Bridget and Zach were talking during the audit that the federal government finally gave us the money we applied for during COVID. That was about $500,000. They made us, even though we got it in July of this year, they made us apply it to last year. That's why we showed such a nice, we ourselves came in a couple 200,000 ahead. And then we had that other $500,000 in there. That's one-time money. We won't ever see anything like that again that I can predict. And so it's good news, but we can't rely on it. I just want to note here that a couple of numbers I pulled out of this report that are really helpful to you are our total monthly rent lease costs across these buildings is $129,400. That's huge, and it's not sustainable with this kind of enrollment. And so that's the big stuff that we need to be talking about as a board. Academic, I mentioned we did not meet our reading growth and progress goals. Math, we did not meet our reading growth and progress goals. Reading proficiency, there are 5 measures. We met 2 out of the 5. We exceeded the state average for 3rd grade reading last year, and the reading proficiency of our students who were tested on statewide testing, kids who are eligible for free and reduced lunch, those kids, we beat the state average. We frequently do better. Our kids who are eligible for free and reduced lunch and our kids who are eligible and receiving special education usually do better than the state average and sometimes better than Forest Lake. So that's good on reading and math. Another small reason to celebrate, in math proficiency last year we met 2 to 3 of the 6 measures. The reason why I don't know if we met 3 is because some of the data on the state and Forest Lake is not yet available. It's not in the report. But for special education, like I said, we typically exceed the state average and Forest Lake for math proficiency. And so we we'll have that data soon, I expect. And then we did exceed the state average on math proficiency for our students who are eligible for free and reduced. It's still not a very high number. We need that number to be higher. That's only 38% of our kiddos. Next slide. Science, yes. The science test is new, so we don't have the data yet, but we typically do exceed state average and Forest Lake on our science MCA scores, so don't we? Often?
The rumors through the grapevine from MDE is many districts did not do well with this.
Darn.
So we're waiting to see how our students do. The new science MCAs were completely rewritten to follow the updated standards. And so a lot of schools haven't transitioned over to the new standards because they are just getting underway. And so it might take a couple of years to get back to where we were. We'll see. We might have done how we did in the past and exceeded those standards. We will see.
Okay, thank you. We met our kindergarten readiness screening goal. We met our visual arts and music goal. We did not meet our graduation rate goal. The thing about graduation rates, there's a 4-year cohort. That means the kids who started in 9th grade with us, how many graduated in 4 years? It doesn't matter where they went. If they started in 9th grade with us, they're counted in our graduation rate. And in 4 years. So we, having 30% of our kids on IEPs, sometimes our kids need 5 years to graduate, but we're really measured on our 4-year. 5-year graduation rate was 86.8%, much better in that 5-year cohort. But the ins and outs and the particularly small class size of last year's class, I think I handed out 23 diplomas, I think, last year. That also makes it hard because the numbers are so small. We typically have more 80-ish% of kids graduating. Percent of kids accepted into college or military school, our goal is higher than that. I think it's 80% or something, and we only got 68%. Some of this is, we still could do better helping families understand that we need this data. We don't always get the news from folks. We met our ACT composite score goal. I think our goal was 20% or 21%, and we got 21.4. Woohoo!
Is that the score or is that a percentage?
That shouldn't be a percentage, that should be.
Oh, it shouldn't have a percentage. It's
21.4.
Yep, 21.4
Okay.
without
Thank
the-
you.
Yep, thank you for that. Then there are a whole bunch of slides that go into details on reading and math growth, and I won't go into them with you unless you want me to. I think we'll skip down to slide 28, areas we need to improve. Let's see, couple more. Go past attendance, one more, there you go, perfect. So these new CACR requirements, we put something in the report here, we addressed it to some degree, but these things shout out to me that these are areas we need to work on more. They are things that we'll put in our strategic plan with the goal that they match. We're not adding goals for these, they're gonna fit with goals that already exist. But how are we, in fact, these can be some overarching goals in the strategic plan. How are we assessing and evaluating student learning and growth? Like, what are our assessment processes? You know, we've had some discussion about our FastBridge benchmark assessment. Does that need some attention, for example? What are the other ways we're assessing student learning and growth? We've got a lot of things happening here. We just need to be able to articulate it better in the 25-26 report. Disaggregating data by student groups. Many of our smaller subgroups of students, especially in the race ethnicity categories, are so small that MDE does not provide us nicely curated data, so we're going to have to do more of that by hand. Educational effectiveness with those groups. How are we doing based on each of those groups? And then equitable outcomes kind of goes along with that. All of that equity stuff is very big in the CACR, and this is an area where we need to improve. And then how are we identifying strengths and weaknesses in our curriculum and in our instruction? We really have this great teacher development and evaluation plan in place now. And so how will we bring forward the data from that and also the discussions that are happening in our professional learning communities to evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of our curriculum and our instruction? And then just basically how will we improve student achievement? So these are areas where I think we can really track our good work that we're doing this year and be able to articulate it better in next year's annual report. And then another area we need to improve is satisfaction surveys with families and students. We do them, but we could do better, and we're missing asking them about perceptions of safety, both students and families' perceptions of safety. And that is the last thing, last slide I have is on strategic plan, and just that you guys have, I didn't put anything in here, but just that you guys have seen a draft. So that's a lot, and you've read a report that's a lot. So I don't know if we have time for see if there are any questions. Otherwise, we need to see if we can approve it.
Sure, I will give a moment to anyone who had any questions or concerns about the annual report. I know that one concern that got brought to my attention from Director Chamberlain at home was the 3rd to 5th grade math curriculum. Hope, what curriculum were you using last year?
3 to 5, we use math expressions.
So I think that's just like a little small editing thing.
Oh, is the old one still in there?
Yes.
Did she give you a page number?
No, but
It's right away in the beginning.
yeah, it's towards the beginning.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a table right away in the beginning.
I can fix that.
Was there anything else?
I also noticed, it was right at the beginning, when talking about the authorizer, again, I think it was just a wording thing of saying, it said North Lakes Academy is our authorizer. Just that word, but then later on it said Osprey in the same paragraph. So I think it was,
I noticed that too.
there you go.
Anything like that is a typo, I seriously have been pedal to the metal on this thing for a long time. It was so much bigger than it's been in the past, and we should have started on it much sooner, and we couldn't get to it. And so yes, if there are typos, I can clean those up before we send it in. I won't change anything substantive.
Yeah, perfect. So thank you to everyone and Cecilia that have been working on the annual report. It does look like it was a lot to do, so thank you. Yeah, I will seek a motion to approve the 2024-25 annual report.
I'll make a motion to approve the 24-25 annual report.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Anyone abstaining? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item is approving program changes at 7:12. And Ms. Oftedal is here to speak, so I will invite you to the podium.
All right. Hi, I'm Jessica Oftedal. I am the 712 principal, and I am here to present on online programming at the 712. So, all right. So the first thing that we are looking to do with our online programming is some issues that we're trying to alleviate. The first one would be improving attendance. So overall, 712 building is below the state attendance. So our statewide attendance is at about 75%. At the 712 campus, we're at about 73%. And then 80% consistent attendance is a minimum goal, and the state really wants us to be at 90% consistent attendance. So this is a problem that we're hoping to alleviate, and I'll get into how. Increasing student engagement is another factor. Our test scores are below state average, as we heard about throughout the night, so I don't need to get into quite the details. They're not great. Increasing elective options is our other big factor here. Most common comment that we hear for students leaving NLA isn't necessarily that they want to leave, it's that they want exposure to more programming or more elective options, more offerings than we can provide for them.
So this online program would help us do that. We're also hoping to provide rigor, relevancy, and relationships. Our rigor would be tied to the Minnesota Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness, so the CACR standards. Also, we hope to provide better prepared students by doing this, making sure that all of these courses are tied to Minnesota standards. Relevancy. Student engagement in school is much lower post-pandemic. We know this, okay? Kids don't see a reason to come to school when they didn't have to for a year. Unfortunately, that is something I hear from kids quite often. So we hope to provide more relevancy by providing options for the trades, having real-world connection, and having project-based learning. So if you see the acronym PBL, that's project-based learning. It gets a lot to write out sometimes, so. Okay, the relationship piece. A lot of times people hear virtual and think the opposite of relationships. However, with this program, we would have one-on-one conferencing and support, individualized paths and projects for students, student-teacher conversations surrounding next steps and next plans, both as a course piece as well as what do you see yourself doing in the future piece. Speakers would come in different areas and work with the students. So let's say you're taking a course on construction trades. We would try to line up a contractor to come in and speak with that group. Same thing if you were interested in like mechanics. We would try to get someone to come in. So trying to find speakers in those different areas to come in and speak to the kids. With an ultimate goal of having this program become like an internship college partnership pipeline. The program that we decided to go with after looking at 3 different online platforms was Edmentum. Edmentum is an educational technology company that helps to provide the digital curriculum piece. They also provide assessment tools, and we did look at Edgenuity, which is another online program, closely. Edmentum was more cost effective. They had a lot wider variety of the college and career technical pieces that we wanted to be able to offer students, so more variety there. And then additionally, they worked within our budget. They were more timely and communicative, so they just seemed a better fit for our program. Okay. So how will it help our students? Again, we're planning on supporting students through tailored programming, so individualizing it, putting the best materials and curriculum into the hands of our teachers by standards aligning it and making sure that it is real world relevant again. Providing tools and resources to help students get back on and keep them on track. Okay, so we're hearing about kids being behind on test scores. Hopefully this will help them see some relevancy in what they are doing in school and get re-engaged again. And then we could also provide potential homeschool support, hybrid options, and then as well as the career and technical elective pieces. We can provide courses in every core area, plus those elective areas and the trades through this program. So, the costs piece. It is about $24,000 to purchase the program. It would be paid for out of Title I funding, so would not be taken out of our general fund. So we would be addressing the student ABCs, as I like to call them, so attendance, behavior, and course performance. That is how we can pull it out of title funding because we are addressing those pieces. It's $240 per license, and a license gets assigned to a student, and they are able to utilize that license for the year then. So we are going to propose that 100 students would pilot the program during this phase 1 this year and concentrate it on juniors and seniors because they are our next step kids. They're the ones that are going to be moving on into the world the quickest. So we would be able to offer dual credit or cross-disciplinary classes. So for example, if a student wanted to take a trade, like a construction trades class, they could take that class, and then at the end, their project would perhaps concentrate on how that project is tied into, or how that course is tied into math. And that is how they would get their math credit in there. So, the courses would be tailored to students' individual and future plans. So if they want to go to college, there are courses available in the program for more college-tailored pieces. It isn't just trade-specific. And then the relationships piece, again, because we always want to go back to that, is one-on-one conferencing with teachers and individualized support for each student in the class. So this allows the teachers to individualize it, make sure that each kid is taking that course that they want to take, and then working on that project and creating it based on their need, their want, and working with the teacher every step of the way. So here is the team that we would, and I've touched base with all of these teachers, and they are willing to step in and be a part of this if you guys approve it. So Chelsea Thielen would be covering language arts along with Mitch Hool. So those projects that kids would do at the end to tie back and get a language arts credit. Any of the courses that we could focus in on language arts would go to those two. Josh, our lovely mathematics teacher, along with Morgan, and they would take any of those courses that are math focused to be able to provide math. Allison Tucker would be social studies, Alicia Martineau would be science, and then Janelle Lavore is providing a work-based learning licensure so that we can start to implement work-based learning in the school as well. So there's a careers course that kids would take, and then if they have a job, they would be able to possibly get work credits, or if they don't have a job, work with Janelle to try and find one and do that career search piece. So again, I said juniors and seniors, and this is because they're the ones that need those life skills most currently. They're the ones that are going to be going out into the world and need to see that relevancy and that college and career piece most immediately. The courses, again, will be rigorous and relevant, aligned with our Minnesota State, as well as those CACR comprehensive achievement and civic readiness standards. So, timeline for this. We did our research in September and October. We're presenting it to you all now. So hopefully our initial implementation can begin starting Q2. And initial implementation looks like having one of these courses in each of our blocks in our schedule so that we can start to see how students respond. We did send out a parent survey asking about our scheduling pieces to try and get some stakeholder feedback. So this is part of that initial implementation. March through May, we would continue our implementation, or sorry, January through May, we would continue our implementation for phase 1. In summer of 2026, we would hopefully start our phase 2 implementation, and then continue that into the fall. And phase 2 would potentially be the offering of additional virtual options. Okay, so again, research in Q1 was looking at the different options, looking at our funding possibilities, our scheduling and programming possibilities, choosing our platform, getting y'all's approval, and then making a master schedule with our online option incorporated. This is what we hope to be able to do starting Q2 is roll out our initial courses with our current NLA teachers. So again, budget neutral there. We are not bringing on any new teachers or spending any of the general fund money. We would be utilizing our Interplay licenses. Those are ones I didn't even talk about, my bad. The Interplay license is a cool simulation. It actually allows for 9 different trades. And you get, the mouse looks like your hands. And you basically build things on the computer, but it's for all these different trades. So we'd be getting 30 of those licenses and using them for a specific math for the trades course. So adding in the work-based learning piece and job credit opportunities, and then sending out student and family surveys to gauge the initial pros and cons at the close of Q2. So again, phase 1 is limited to the 100 licenses, 30 licenses of the trades interplay license. It would be scheduled into our regular school day, taught by our current teachers. And then it wouldn't create an additional prep for teachers. This is an important piece because we ask our teachers to do a lot. So this is the big piece. Teachers would have to learn the program up front, and I am already working with them. We actually have something scheduled as long as this gets approval to begin, and they did have accounts set up last week so that they could start to play with the program. But it would not create additional prep as far as lesson planning and grading pieces because the program is a standalone program and does most of the grading itself. The only extra work would be creating the project piece and working on one-on-one with the students. So. Okay, so then phase 2 would be to potentially expand to a greater number of online program licenses. It would allow for students in grades 9 through 12 to access the courses. Again, could still be taught by our current teachers, and then would allow for more standards-based offerings to be incorporated into our course catalog. So additionally, we could expand in ways that would attract more students and give NLA the capacity to serve more students by adding the option for a virtual school. I do want to preface with this would add additional accreditation needs under our Minnesota state statute, and we would have to talk with the authorizer and get agreement from and modifications to an authorizer contract. So those are the two pieces. The accreditation needs under Minnesota state statute is a lot of paperwork pieces through the state. The authorizer piece, we would need to contact them. But that would be started in the summer of 2026 for rollout next year. Okay, so virtual options, if those are big ifs, if Minnesota accreditation was approved and if authorizer approval came through, would be open through 9 through 12th. And then again, could increase enrollment, and if applications or enrollment supported it, you could potentially open it up for 5 through 12 or 7 through 12, depending on if the numbers supported it. In order to cap and maintain a conservative budget, you could take teachers from the 712 campus still and offer like a stipend or a weekly hours and just keep them, instead of offering it as more of a open-ended piece or a salaried teacher to come on to staff, you can offer it as a, like, you have 3 hours a week to do this grading. If you use them all, turn in your timesheet. If you don't, turn in your timesheet for what you used, but leave it as a set amount. Questions? Because I know there will be some.
Thank you. That was very good. Very good explanation. I totally get how it would relate back to like student retention. Can you talk me through how this would relate to attendance if they're already not coming? Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the idea would be that if students aren't engaged in school, most of the time it's due to engagement pieces and not seeing a relevancy factor. So idea is we're able to offer these pieces now, come back to us, and we're hoping that we can show that connection there. So
I think as well, they get to choose the course that they're taking.
Yes.
So they get to choose something that they're interested in.
Mm-hmm. They have more say in their schedule, more say in their path that they're getting their education through.
Are there other schools that are using this, and can you tell me how it's gone for them?
As far as this exact type of program,
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen it done in this way.
Okay.
Okay. There are schools that are using the Edmentum program. Trio uses it for their virtual school. But this specific type of program is a little bit more alternative.
Has it been successful for them?
As far as their virtual program,
Yeah.
they have enrollment and they're a continuing program. Yeah.
Good.
This is me not trying to put the cart before the horse, but you talked about in phase 2 about how there could be potential accreditation for more virtual schooling options. Does anybody, whether it's you or anybody currently on administrative staff, have experience doing that already? Okay.
I do.
Awesome. Okay. Because it's, something that North Lakes hasn't done. So as long as somebody has at least a little bit of an idea, that helps.
It's a lot of work. It's doable. But it's a
Can
lot
I
of work.
address that one too? This is great to think about, super aspirational because there's a lot of competition out there and you have to do it well to get the enrollment. So it's a piece that could be exciting for us. It takes a contract modification and it's a lot of work. And to have the bandwidth to do it well, I think is a stretch for us right now, but we can sure think about it because it could definitely increase our enrollment. And I love Principal Oftedal's experience with this and also her enthusiasm about it.
So I will preface with, I was the dean of the virtual school at South St. Paul Schools. So.
I have a question about credits. Because it says students can earn 1 elective credit and 0.25 core. So are these going to be all quarter classes?
So how that looks, because these program courses are laid out as semester-long courses,
Okay.
and we are meeting about this, I said this week, we have to work to look at either modifying the courses down to meet our standards or modifying the courses up to meet our credit standards. Does that make
Okay.
sense? So the courses themselves, as they're set in the program, are about a semester in length. And then we're adding in the project on top of that. So course load work is going to be more than our typical course would be at NLA. We can modify the program's courses and take things out or put things in as we need to. We have that autonomy to do within the program, but it's just looking at which courses and how we want to do that. And we wouldn't necessarily know which courses to do it for until they're chosen for the students. So it's putting a process in place and setting a guideline for how we as a team want to have it done.
Could
and
it
moving
be a
forward.
semester class instead of a quarter class?
It could.
If
Yes.
we're wanting to give them 1 elective credit, because usually a quarter class is half.
Yep.
Okay.
It absolutely could. And
Okay.
those are pieces that we as a team, I didn't want to make the decision myself, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. I thought it was more important to have collaboration and bring in the team voices on that.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you. Alrighty, I am seeking a motion to approve the program changes at 7:12.
I'll make a motion to approve the program changes at 7:12.
I will second that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. Yes, go ahead, Cecilia.
I know we're running long, but I just have to thank Jessica and Josh and everyone else who's helped. But these two thought of this idea, figured out how to make it work with existing FTE. This takes acrobatics with state licensure, and we're doing them. And I'm really excited for how well this seems to fit our population. And so thank you both for working so hard on this, and thank you, board, for approving it.
Yes, thank you. Okay, next item is talking about our LIEP plan, and so I will pass this along to you, Cecilia Dodge, to speak about this.
Thank you. I will try to be quick. The law requires us to have this language instruction education program plan for English learners. And the law requires the board to approve ours. We had drafted this because it is one of our pieces for Osprey Wilds that was due June 30th. And actually, Principal Erickson drafted it and did a great job, but we missed 3 or 4 things that were in statute. So I've added them. This is our plan for how we'll educate students who come and qualify for English learner services because they need to develop enough English to benefit from education. We've had a couple years, like I said, where we haven't had one. This is a detailed plan that we need to get in place because we do actually have a new English learner, and obviously we'll have more. We want to welcome English learners to North Lakes Academy. So it is a heavy lift to do this right, but we are absolutely ready, and this plan lays it out very clearly.
Did anyone have any questions? Alrighty. Seeking a motion to approve the language instruction education program plan.
I will make a motion to approve the language instruction education program plan.
I will second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. Alrighty, checking things off the list here. All right. Yes. Up next, we're talking about approving the board self-assessment process. This came across the board's plate in May, so a while ago. But we realized that we never approved it, and so we want to do that. This is breaking down our board training needs, steps and a timeline, and then a nice table laying out the training requirements, ones that are required and ones that are optional, I believe, as well. And so we just need to go ahead and approve this. Cecilia, was there anything that you would like to add?
The only thing that I would add is, given that next month is actually November and we're ticking through the months of the fiscal year, we should probably have a plan for addressing this leading into next month's board meeting.
Sorry, just making a note for myself to address that in November's meeting. Did anyone have any questions or concerns? Okay, seeking a motion to approve the board self-assessment process.
I'll make a motion to approve the board self-assessment process.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. Okay, perfect. So we are back to item 8, which is approving the executive director goals. Treasurer Dale, anything that you would like to add? I know we spoke about this a bit earlier.
Yep. Being that it sounds like we need to add a goal possibly to the executive director goals, I'd like to make a motion to, or seek a motion to review this one more time and come back again next month.
So you want to postpone it, is what you're saying?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Could I say something? If you think you have the enrollment goal to add and there are no other changes, you could vote on this one and vote it down and then request to amend it and amend it right here and vote yes on it. So you could do that so we could get it done if you want to. It's up to the board, but that's another path.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know that I'm ready to come up with exact language on the spot, but if other people have proposed language, I'm willing to discuss it. I know that we heard from myself, Jill, and maybe some others. Were there any others that would like to share on this, specifically the idea of an enrollment goal?
I think it's nice to put it out there so someone's got it on their radar to think about, to have it so it's not just something that falls off a piece of paper since it's not listed anywhere.
Thank you. I think I'm on the same page as Treasurer Dale that maybe we make a motion to postpone this so that we can talk about it. Cecilia, do you feel like it would be appropriate to do this at a workshop, make it a special meeting, or?
We would have to do a special meeting and then a workshop, because workshops are for just discussion and no official business. So that would be the way to do it. I just also would love to just respond to Director Christensen's comment. There's no way enrollment's going to fall off the radar, and it's definitely not something that I don't go a day without thinking about enrollment. So I just wanted to make sure everyone understands that.
Certainly, I think it's just something that as a board we want to make sure is written in. I know that enrollment is important to you, Cecilia. Okay, any other comments, concerns, questions? Okay. I'm seeking a motion to postpone the approval of the executive director goals to the November meeting.
I'll make a motion to postpone the executive director goals to the November meeting.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. Okay. Moving on to item I. These are existing policies with changes for second read. These are ones that have already come across in a first read. I know that changes were made that we have spoken about in the previous meeting. I just want to ask if there's any questions or concerns on these. I know we've already talked about them, so I'm not going to make us rehash what we've already just discussed. Okay. Hearing nothing, I do want to seek a motion to approve them together. So I'm seeking a motion to approve the existing policies with changes for second read, policy 304, 426, and 406.
I'll make a motion to approve policies with changes for second read, policy 304, 426, and 406.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Anyone abstaining? Okay. Motion carries. All right, last item is existing policies for reapproval without changes. So there's no changes, there's nothing to talk about. As far as that, policies 410, 514, 515, and 616. Did anyone have any questions or concerns about those four policies? Okay, I'm seeking a motion to approve the existing policies for reapproval without changes. 410, 514, 515.2, and 616.
I will make a motion for approval with existing policies for reapproval without changes. Policies 410, 514, 515.2, and 616.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. Okay. Looking ahead to next month, Obviously, we're going to revisit some things that we spoke about tonight. We're also going to establish election committee members. We've done this, but I just want to talk about it again since this is now coming up soon. We're going to finally get to that board training on special education and hopefully hear a report from our activities director, Jeff Beimert, on fall sports season. So looking forward to all of that. I do want to, before we end, do a plus and a delta. I will start with pluses. Does anyone have any pluses for the night?
I just want to say thanks to everybody who gave informational discussions to us tonight. They did a great job.
I second. You stole what I was gonna say. I love the new ideas that we have coming in. Josh, thank you for the new program changes. Maddie Taylor bringing up with the band being able to travel. Those things are really exciting to see, and I think we'll I know it's gonna be a lot of work for both of those things, but I think it'll be some really good things. So thank you.
I was happy with our discussion just surrounding the items. It made me realize that you are all really looking very deeply into this and coming with questions and comments and concerns, and I do appreciate that. Any other pluses?
This is my last day as secretary. Pretty exciting. No, it wasn't that bad, but.
We appreciate you. We know it's a hard job. Okay, we'll move on to any deltas. Always hard to reflect on what we can improve on, right? Okay. Hearing nothing. Sorry. Okay, I am seeking a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries and the meeting is adjourned at 8:43 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.